Got Her Back podcast.
Hi.
Hello, guys.
We're doing a little evening sesh.
Oh, yeah.
I actually like evening sessions. Didn't we do evening last time?
No. I don't think we've ever done an evening session. So I'm
Maybe the
kinda
very
excited
beginning,
about
I
it.
feel like, was the afternoon. You know, the afternoon is like my prime. I'm not a morning person. at
You're
all.
thriving in the evening.
That's right.
We are totally opposite.
This is when I'm like, you know.
Yeah, me too. I love the early morning, like, let's go. I could pop out 5 episodes.
Yeah, if we could get her up really early, we could do it.
Absolutely not. I'd be dry
Yeah.
heaving.
I dropped my kids off for their first overnight camp this morning. So
Fun.
No phones. You can be okay.
no electronics.
I know they're going to be okay, but are you going to be okay?
I will be just fine, girl.
You sure?
Yeah, because I'm kind of getting used to it with the week on, week off. But usually I can at least get in touch with them. But I know they're good. So
Good.
You know what I just realized? We're like almost at the end of summer break.
I know.
don't say that. I hate that.
How did that happen?
I don't know.
It
We have
doesn't.
vacation next week. Whoop.
We're gonna be swim with sharks.
Yeah, we're going to Hurricane Burl and
Barrel.
Barrel.
The news this morning was like Hurricane Barrel. I was like,
Wait, that's the name of the hurricane?
yeah.
Barrel?
Yes, where are you
Like
at?
It's
barrel?
spelled Beryl or something like that.
Who names these hurricanes?
You know, it goes in like the letters of the alphabet.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, like A, B, C, D, like that. So like the next one, they'll name it with a C.
Oh,
But you know, I did hear that the women are like the worst. The women names are the worst ones.
know,
Like
Barrel's
Hurricane
coming all the way
Hurricane
up here.
Katrina,
oh
Yeah,
yeah.
that's true.
Hurricane Maria. Like y'all, I mean, when women like
You are a hurricane.
Are they toxic?
super toxic.
Super. Is that what we're talking about today?
Yes.
Ugh.
Ooh, toxic relationships. Toxic friendships.
Yeah, girl.
Toxic family members. Toxic relationship.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck my life.
Oh,
Sorry.
got you. That's a
Starting off with a
5-star.
bang here.
Girl, add a 5 to that. That's
That's how I am. That's how I am in the evening time. I spice it up.
Yeah, I told you I was feeling a little spicy today. Let's see what we can do.
Got my kids dropped off for the week. Already worked. Coming to my second job. Hanging out with my girls. So I'm excited. Yeah. Have you ever been in a toxic? Well, we know you. Did you just ask me that? Okay. Besides that,
Besides relationships, just
Ooh.
That was 20 years of my
Do
life.
you know what this reminds me of?
What?
The toxic relationship that you had where your house got set on fire.
Oh, shit.
Have we
wait,
talked
did we
about?
talk about that?
No.
Going there? I have to tell that story?
Well, you don't have to, but that's literally, I forgot about it. It just popped in my head. The short version.
Look, I'm over here like, I'm like, I've talked about a lot of things, but I'm like, I got to talk about that.
Oh, okay. No,
No, we're good.
No,
No,
we're not going
let's
to
do
talk
it.
about
Maybe,
it.
maybe that's the reason why she became
No, I'm good. Let's
Are
go.
you sure? Sorry.
No, it's okay.
No, come on.
No, let's do
Let's
this.
cut.
No, we're not going to cut.
Cut.
We're going to let our hair hang down. Okay, so before my marriage, I mean, I've got some jewels of some stories.
You do.
I mean,
That's why I love you.
Let me just say, like, I know how to pick them. I mean, when it comes to men, I sure know how to pick them.
That toxic.
Okay, so this was, I need to stop asking for referrals. Is what I need to stop doing because that's where I get myself into trouble.
He was a referral?
Yes, it was Kelly's was dating a guy. This is before her husband. We were living together in Louisville, and she was dating a guy. He seemed pretty cool, whatever. I mean, we're like college age. We had just got out of college. And I was like, hey, has he got a friend? She's like, oh, he has a roommate. And I'm like, bring him on over.
Does he look good?
Girl,
Did he look
like-
good?
Yeah, I mean, he was cute, but like it ended up like fast forward through, like it was a whirlwind, romance. And I thought I was in love. Go figure. Oh my God. Like, I was going to move him in. Like,
feel
go
really bad
figure.
for bringing up this story.
Go figure. I was going to move, like, this one, I was going to move him in.
Okay,
Like,
so how long did you date?
only 3 months. I mean,
Okay.
what is it with me and moving guys? With 3 months, I moved Darian in, but he asked to move in. That one he asked. I didn't. It
That
wasn't
one.
me. That
That
was
one.
him, not me.
That one, Maria. Yes.
He woke up one day.
This
and
one
said-
she asked.
Yeah, this one I asked. Well, then he brought his stuff over, and like women's intuition. One day, his stuff was in the garage, and like he hadn't moved everything in the house yet. And he was at work, and I just something decided just to go get a bunch of trash bags. So I
Got
decided,
that
like,
discernment.
I don't know, I did.
Kicking
I got
in.
that inner gut, just like go check his stuff. Like I'm like investigator gadget. Like if I don't feel right about something, like I'm just gonna go look. And I
Go
always find,
gadget Meg.
well, like he had supposedly had like his 21st birthday when we were together. Like he was younger than me. I was like 25. I was robbing the cradle. I found paperwork, and he was really like 23 or 24 at the time. And
So
then I
you're
found
like,
out
wait
he
a
had
second.
kid, and I knew he was originally from Michigan. But then I found out, like, okay, his dad was in prison. Okay, whatever. A lot of people's, whatever. That's not a big deal to me. Like,
Yeah, that's totally
I'm not
normal.
going to judge you off of that. Yeah, it's so normal. It's just the fact that he lied, right? So I call him, and I'm like, get your shit. Like, get your shit and get out of the house, right? Like, I flip out because he was lying to me also about his true name. Like, it was serious. Like, his name did not even match.
He
up.
had a different name.
Yes, girl. Like
Was
an
it like
alias.
a different first name or just last name? Or
I feel like it was a different, maybe middle name, but different date of birth. So it made me think that the first red flag in my head was like, okay, he's done something in Michigan and he's fled to Texas and he's hiding for something. Like I'm like, great, I just here we go again. I put a serial killer in my house.
because
Like,
why else would you change your name and your
yeah,
birthday?
Like, so like I just told him to come get his shit. Well, that didn't go over so well because I told him he had 24 hours to get it or I was putting it outside and he didn't come get it. So guess what? I put it outside and like he got like he had a gaming station and hell, the neighbors just went to town. I mean, they came. And, it was like a garage sale for free.
Oh, you really did it?
I sure did. I put it in the front yard.
She was
like,
telling me
"Get
to
it out
do
of my
that
house."
too.
Oh,
Well, then he showed up at my house acting a fool like he did. And like,
well, because
Kelly-
someone took the PS5. Or
Girl, I mean,
The
it is
PS1,
Monday. I gave you 24 hours. You had a car. Come get it. You didn't come get it. It was just like clothes and stuff. You know what I mean? So I'm like, get out of here. And he was acting a fool. And so Kelly pulled a knife on him, a kitchen knife, and was
Girl.
like, yeah. And
Have you not heard this story?
Oh, my Lord, have mercy.
I have, but like not. I know.
I know.
A
I
little
know.
bit.
So he leaves, right? Well, then maybe 2 days go by. And like one night we were watching Scary.
After the kitchen knife, 2 days after the kitchen knife.
Yeah, maybe
So
2
that
days.
shoot him away.
Yeah, like that shoot him away, but like he was real upset about his stuff being out in the front yard.
And
like
the
he
knife.
was obviously really upset because we were watching like scary movies one night and like, I mean, he was pretty aggressive that day. So I was like thinking like, okay, he's gonna like probably try to come back or whatever, or try to get me, right? But I did never imagine what happened was gonna happen, right? So we were watching scary movies and it was like thundering and lightning.
I wish you
and
remembered
a
which
transformer
scary-
blew and it was like boom. And I like the first thing I looked at Kelly, like we jumped off the couch, like I thought it was shot. I thought it was dead. Like, literally, I'm like,
Am I good?
yeah, am I good? It wasn't a transformer just blew, right? So that was the first night. Well, then like the very next night, and it was me, Kelly, and her daughter were living in my house at the time, and Malia was maybe 3 or 4. I'm gonna say. Well, we get this. We hear this banging on. So I had a split level house, and my room was over the garage. My master closet basically set over the garage. And we heard this bang, 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 ring, 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 bang, 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 ring, ring, ring. And so I was like screaming. Kelly lived like downstairs, like by my pool table. There's 2 bedrooms down there. And I'm screaming, Kelly, he's back. Because it's like midnight, right? So I'm thinking he's come back.
Oh, it
and
was
he's-
late.
Yeah, it was late. And so I'm thinking he's like ringing the doorbell, knocking on the door. So she runs upstairs with Malia and we go hide in my master bedroom closet. Well, my dad had given me a gun, right? Well, I didn't know how. I'll never forget.
Oh my gosh, were you holding the gun in the closet?
I had the gun and I'm shaking, and Kelly had the knife again. So Kelly looks at me. All of a sudden, we looked at each other. She goes, "Switch." I was like, "Switch." So I gave her the gun, and I took the knife.
Jesus.
We call 911, and we're like, "Oh my god!" Like we have like a disgruntled boyfriend. He's trying to like get us to come out of the house. We're scared. Like he's ringing the doorbell, and they're like, "Ma'am, you're at 1301 Jasmine." Like she called out my address at the time, and I was like, "Yes." And she was like, "Your house is on fire. It's your neighbor. Get out of the house. They're trying to get you out of the house." And I was like, "What?" And she was like, "Get out of the house now."
How long did that take to register? That
Girl.
would feel
So
like,
we,
wait,
ran
what?
down the stairs, we ran outside, and both of our cars were engulfed in flames, and the cars had set my house on fire. So what he had done was he threw a Molotov
What?
cocktail.
Why is this so so funny to me right now, but it's not funny.
Like, I know, this is like crazy talk right now. He threw a Molotov cocktail on my truck, which in turn set Kelly's car, because it was both in the driveway, on fire. We're lucky that the gas tanks didn't blow and kill us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we were right there, like, here's the cars, and here we are sitting like sitting ducks, and the garage was on fire. And
So
we're
y'all
sitting
didn't
in the
see the fire?
We didn't. We're in the closet.
Oh.
We were in the closet. No windows. No windows. Yeah.
Y'all didn't smell like
Yeah. I mean,
burning.
it was
Stay
bad.
toxic.
Yeah. Stay toxic. I mean, it was bad. It was bad.
You attract toxic situations.
It's those. I mean, I just asked for a
like,
referral. Like, why? I need to stop asking for referrals.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's toxic on your
Yeah,
part.
like that is like.
Stop
I just,
asking.
Like, yeah, I need to.
Just go to Whole Foods.
Yeah.
Were there red flags?
I don't know. I feel like I have red flag on my forehead. It's like,
How red was this red flag?
honestly, like he was like a nice kid from everything I could tell, and it was just. He didn't do anything in particular, but something just said, go look at his stuff.
Yeah.
And had I never went in the garage and looked, I mean, I didn't think he was cheating.
He
on me,
set you
any of
on
that.
fire, girl.
He went to prison for 7 years, and every year, I wrote the parole board. I was scared to death. You know, when they finally let him out, I had to give it to God, because honestly, every year, it was the last year of his sentence, and he did every day of it because he ended
Because
up.
it's federal. I mean,
Yeah,
federal,
well,
you
and
don't get parole.
Well, he got federal because it got worse. He ended up stalking me after that. So the fire marshal, praise God for Denton County, that they made it their mission. They found him. He had set the house and cars on fire, he had walked into my neighborhood by foot. They had found him, they found his car. So they sat out at his car, waited for him to come back to his car, and they just arrested him right then and there, 2:00 in the morning. Took a Polaroid picture. I mean, it's just shit out of the movies. And brought it to me. They're like, is this him? And I'm like, that's
in a manila folder?
Yeah, literally, come to my house. And they're like, I mean, they were so proud of themselves. And then they staked my house out because
Yeah, it's the craziest thing that happened all year.
Well, I'm sure, because then it gets worse. It gets worse. Kelly
The
goes
fire
home.
wasn't the
Go
worst.
figure.
The
right?
fire wasn't the
We're living with crime scene tape, in my front yard, yellow crime scene tape. And Kelly decides to take Malia and go home, rightfully so. So she goes back to Oklahoma. I'm in the house by myself. So I'm living in the house by myself, and one day I checked the mail. I opened the mail, and there was a letter to Kelly, but it was said that the return was from Arkansas, and I'm like, what the hell? She didn't know anybody in Arkansas, so I called her, and I'm like, you got a letter? She was like, open it. So I open it, and it's this crazy deranged letter from him to her, and it didn't even make sense, and I was like, oh my God, he's literally a crazy person, literally. So I call that fire marshal or whatever, and he was like, don't touch it. I'm like, well, I already touched it. I opened it. He's like, so he brings the investigator. He comes and brings it and puts it with tweezers in a bag. I mean, and the next thing you know, he started stalking me. So I had I had insurance. So I'd already gotten a new car. He came to my work and keyed my brand new car. Oh yeah.
Megan.
And then, I don't
Are you sure that we are not a crime podcast? 'Cause this is
listen
turning
to
into
me.
a crime podcast.
Then I don't like white stuff. He knew I didn't like white stuff, so he threw a gallon of white paint in my pool. So it was turned my whole pool white. The next thing you know,
Megan, I didn't know that part.
oh yeah, the next thing you know, he screwed up. He sent another letter. And he didn't ever wear gloves, and they pulled his prints off of the letter, and that's what got him. It's he gave me death threats on the letter. Do you know it's a federal offense to
Open somebody's mailbox.
Well,
send it in the
through
mail.
The U.S. mail and do a death threat. It's a federal offense. So he got more time for that letter than for he pled out on setting my house on fire, and got more time for the freaking letter. Yeah, just because.
Do you think he still thinks of you?
Girl, I hope not. And I hope he doesn't see this podcast, because seriously, for years, I was always scared he would. For years, I would look over my shoulder, if my garage would come up, and I would have to always it's just I need to be in my car before I do my garage, because I'm always afraid he's going to be standing there. It's
Well, thank God now we have cameras.
girl. I mean, it's not like I check my camera before I go get my car in the garage.
No, but sometimes
Her
I
voice
get,
is
I get notifications on my phone when there's
high pitch,
when there's
I'm
somebody
nervous.
in my driveway, or
That's true. Yeah. So if you want to say, do I I attract the toxic. I mean, yeah. I mean,
How long were you scared after that? I would be scared for so long.
Yeah, I had to give it to God because the last time the parole board sent me a letter, I knew it was time he was going to get out. And do you know that they paroled him to Denton County, and I at least wrote back and I said, please at least put him in Tarrant County. So he got moved to Tarrant County, so at least he wasn't in the same county as me.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it was years ago. Like that happened, and probably.
Do you know his name?
Don't say it.
No, I'm not going to say it on here. I just want to go stalk him to like make sure he's nowhere around.
Do you have an account to like do background checks on people that you date? Because it's
Yeah,
not illegal.
I do now, but
You
that
can
one probably
do
was
it.
in 2003 is when it happened.
Do you think that people do background checks on people that they date?
Yes, they do.
That you
I use
should.
that
Do you?
data. Yes, I do.
Yeah, look, y'all, if y'all
Yes.
are dating and you guys don't
Yes.
do background checks, you don't
Yes.
have to do in-depth, like, the ones that you need their permission for is if it pulls up, I think, like, what, their finances and stuff like that. But public records, like, if they've gone to jail, that's all public.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, true.
you should.
Yes.
You should do your
You
background.
should. Back then, you didn't have.
Yeah.
I mean, you probably could, but like, I didn't have. I don't think I had anything access to that until later on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, we run it all the time. You should see all the girls that like date at the office, you know, my staff and stuff, we're always like, okay, go look this up. Okay, go see what you can find. It's like an Easter egg.
Yeah.
Hunt. You know what I mean? Like, what can you find?
Oh, they've lived in 10 houses in 2 years. They are unstable.
Yeah.
So say you have toxic guy, okay? Mocktail. We'll call him Mocktail.
Okay.
Okay. And then you're done with that and you're like, how do you go into the next time of dating? Like, ooh, I should probably look for.
I've got a referral again from Kelly. And yeah, but I had went to college with him. So that was my very next relationship was Darian.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like I knew him. I knew him in college or whatever, but I mean, well, I thought I knew him, but I knew of him.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not like he was like a stranger
Yeah.
danger or whatever, but yeah. But
Have you ever been in a toxic relationship, Maria, or had a toxic friendship or family member or anything like that?
I'm very picky when it comes
closed
to
off.
like dating people, I guess. But this may not be toxic, but I was just telling my sister about this. I once went on a date with a guy. He was very handsome. This was before trying. And I don't know, maybe he was a little, I don't know. Y'all might not think this is a red flag, but he picked me up from, to take me out to dinner, and I go to the restaurant and I look around and there was like a huge bouquet of flowers in the center of the table where we were sitting, and nobody else had it. Like he dropped it off before.
I think that's nice.
Oh, that's sweet.
That's not a red flag.
I know that's not a red flag, but
Maybe it's too much.
it was too much
Yeah.
for
When
me.
girls say it's too much, I don't understand that. I'm like, give it to me, all of it.
Yeah,
Give me
but-
all the
But
too much.
Yeah, that's
like-
true, because that might be a love bomber, and those aren't very good.
I love it.
Yeah,
then,
but
like,
not when that mask drop us off.
Bomb me.
You're not gonna love that.
When what?
You're not gonna like when the mask drops off. We've dealt with that.
When the mocktail goes on, and we're like, oh shoot.
Like, I don't know, like
Shoot.
sometimes I feel like the simple things kind of get my attention at first. Because if you're doing it big too early, like
You're trying to hide something.
oh, I
Yeah, I
kind of
think
like
so.
that.
You know,
I like
like
that.
you could be a serial killer doing all that. Like,
Well, I mean, I've had run-ins with serial killers. I mean, obviously once or twice.
Gosh, Megan.
Skittles, mocktail.
I've definitely had toxic friendships, toxic girl relationships. I feel like I've
watched you
been
through
in so many
some
of those. Like I've definitely attracted those because I like to try to fix and help people. You know what I mean? Especially like within my business, it's almost like I use that as a tool. Like I feel like more people. It creates more users or something.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Well, and I've seen you go through toxic friendships. In fact, one of your old friendships keeps stalking my TikTok page. And
My sister.
yeah, if she don't stop,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be like, stop it! Like, quit trying to look at our life. Back, give us 50 feet.
What are you all in about?
oh, sorry, I know, but
No, like,
Girl,
we're not-
toxic
no,
with a
toxic.
capital T.
Yeah,
Never.
still are
I know.
business.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
No.
So yes, families can be toxic too.
That's a
You know.
stepsister,
Definitely.
So that's like, it was a sister by marriage. Like,
Yeah.
bye.
Yeah, I mean, toxic. I mean, sometimes it can be a great person and a great person, but you're just toxic to each other. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just become very codependent on each other, and then it becomes toxic, and then you're like intertwined and you don't know how to like separate. I feel like I've been in lots of those. I've been in toxic relationships before. I dated a guy that was Italian and like crazy.
Yeah, you told me stories about that.
Crazy. With a capital C.
Was he part of the mob?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
His mom was actually in prison for murder and got out when we were dating.
Yeah.
And
This is
they
good
were
story.
actually in the witness protection program. So whenever he turned 30, we were selling.
I almost spit that out.
I'm over here making fun of Megan and I hear myself.
Let's go ahead and hear a little bit more about that, Carrie.
So he was turning
spotlight on
30 whenever we were dating. He was turning 30. And and so we're like, having like a big 30th birthday or whatever. And his grandmother calls him to tell him happy birthday. And he's like, Mama, hey. And she's like,
Been your first red flag.
it was something like that. And she goes, happy 31st birthday. And he's like, no, I'm turning 30. And she's like, no, you're 31, son. And he's like, no, I'm not. I'm just now 30. No, he thought he was turning 29.
29, 30, 31.
And she was like, happy 30th birthday. He's like, no, I'm not 30 yet. And she's like, yes, you are. And he's like, no, I'm not. And she's like, no, remember, that's not your real birthday on there, because they were in witness protection since he was little. From his mom's thing. So they had changed his name and his date of birth. So they had edited it by like a year. So he had just always.
So is that his stepmom or the real mom?
It was his real mom.
But I thought when you're in a witness protection program, it's because you're hiding from like.
Yeah, because she took a deal.
Yeah. Come on, Maria.
Come on, Maria. But she was actually in there for like
syndicate over
years, like 20 something years or something.
Yeah.
Crazy. Super crazy. Super crazy. They were just very toxic people. So I was like, how in the world do I get myself out of this? And how do I, what am I doing? Because he was like that. He was like a love bomber. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden you're in it and you're just like, how do I get out of this?
Maybe
Entanglement.
it's because y'all are like started dating when I was younger. I mean, when I was dating, social media was already starting to be a thing. So I could do like.
I mean, we had MySpace.
I had MySpace at the
or
time.
Chat rooms.
That was
We
it.
had chat rooms on the
Yeah.
computer.
I had a MySpace.
We had Facebook,
We
and
had
that's
dial-up.
like,
But I feel like with every single one of those relationships, like you learn your lesson and then you try to go in with those as like your new red flags. You know what I mean? Because before you don't have any experience, right? To like know. And then those are all of a sudden your red flags and they're like screaming red. And now all of a sudden like your red flags are like massive, you know?
So let's talk about like dating, when is a good time to actually start dating? Because do you feel like sometimes, especially, I don't know about you, Megan, but do you feel like sometimes you need kind of time alone
So for
to
me,
just,
at the end, and I don't know, I'll let Carrie speak for herself.
because everybody's
but
different.
I feel like I felt so alone in my marriage for so long, and I was so mentally far gone, just hanging on by a thread, that when I left, like my mind had been gone a long time. You know what I mean? Like I just was here in a physical sense. I was living like a roommate. And so like it wasn't so much like all the fighting and all the toxicity that way. Like the yelling and the screaming would only happen, when I spoke up for myself, maybe every 6 months, or towards the end, it was like every month, right? Like it kind of got back into that groove again. But so whenever I left, whenever I told him like, I'm done, I don't want to be married anymore. Like I was already ready to go date, because I was longing for a connection.
Yeah.
And longing for here's the crazy thing. I was longing for, and what I didn't know is I was longing for healthy, but I didn't even know what healthy looked like. So it was super hard for me, because the guy that I started dating, I'd known for 20 years, as a friend. But I didn't know, okay, is he love bombing me, or is he just truly a nice guy?
Yeah.
Right? So it's you get the red flags, right? But then you're like, okay, so
You question them.
Right. You question everything, because it's am I bringing my trauma forward? Because I've done that, several instances, and I have to talk myself off a ladder and be like, okay, I'm letting my trauma speak in this new relationship and do maybe damage in this new relationship because I'm not over the trauma yet. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so it's just, like Carrie had a tough week the week before last, I think, where she didn't call me or you. And so I got on to her and said, hey, when you're having a, hard day or something, like, but it's just, you don't know, like, what's going to trigger that trauma, right? Like, and when you don't know what's going to trigger that trauma in a new relationship or when you're dating, like, you start questioning, is it this relationship or is it my prior relationship bringing it forward? And so it's been hard, like, for me personally, just to try to, like, decipher through that. And so, and that can make it hard for the other person. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I agree with everything that you said, because same thing for me. I think that we were in identical states. We were lonely. I was lonely. I was by myself, all the time. So I was like, as soon as you said you were dating, I was like, oh, me too. Like, then what are we waiting on? Let's do this. So I was ready. And so everybody's like, wow, that was so fast. But I was like, well, for me, I've been by myself for years in my mind. I mean, they always say women are long gone years before they actually make the move, where men are, and then they're like so far behind us because then they're in shock. But we're already been gone for a long time. So it's just how we mentally prepare. And like, we like to think of our kids and our future, we like emotionally prepare. And then like when we hit them with it and think they should know, they're like in shock. So I think that that's just kind of like our maturity levels or something, our emotional levels.
My marriage, it was scary because then I dealt with like him stalking me. And that was a trigger from the relationship before. And he knew that the relationship before had stalked me. So it's like almost like he would take things out of my past and like move it forward. It's like he couldn't contain himself. And then he was begging me, back and sending text messages and writing letters for several months, like after, because he was probably still in shock. And so, and I was just like, I'm not coming back, and I had left so many times and it was so toxic. I'd told him to leave, but I could never stand on what I was said. You know what I mean? And like, I knew that time, like, I was done.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Done. I think it's just like when you just reach that point, you just, you can only take so much. Absolutely. And we're all really strong, but you can only take so much. And that could be in any type of relationship. But I think, especially when you're married or have kids or whatever, or if it's a family member or something like that. A lot of people take it from family members because they're like, well, we're blood and we're this and we're that. And they think that you have to take it, but you really don't. No. Like, that's the thing. It's like, you have to just sit there and weigh out that, like, what is this person bringing to my life? And if there's nothing good that's coming out of it, then it's okay to love them from like afar and like leave them there. Like, I'm totally fine with that. I had a really hard time with that in the beginning with family members and different type of scenarios and stuff like that. I'm just such a fix them, help them. And I always thought it was like I'm a middle child. So I'm that like through and through. But once I did it a few times, I was like, oh, this is so much better over here. Just like kicking my legs up, like, recline my feet and just be like, not my circus, not my monkeys.
Okay. So all the toxic is in the past. So what are we doing moving forward? Like, as far as like dating, like I personally, I'm not dating, but
what is Trent Shelton's red flag?
No, but like,
tell us.
I tell my friends who are like dating now, I'm like, you know what? And maybe this is just me growing up too, or like how I was back then was, I don't mind being rude, not rude, but kind of demanding what I want, demanding like, I need, like I'd rather,
your worth.
Yes.
Right.
So then therefore, if that person can't fulfill what I'm looking for and I'm still dating that person, I'm kind of accepting less than what I want.
You're kind of disrespecting yourself.
Yeah. And you're enabling them. So like if you tolerate it, then
Absolutely.
it's on you, right? Like I tolerated for 20 years. So it's on me, right? Because I enabled that behavior. I showed him what I would tolerate.
I think our self-worth
was just so far gone.
Is like a huge reflection of that, like what you accept.
And
so
all you do is just move on to somebody that unfortunately
with everything that we have accepted over the years, like any type of relationship, like I look back even with, family relationships, friend relationships, real relationships. I'm like, who was that person? You know what I mean? But it wasn't, a direct reflection of how I felt about myself at the end of the day.
You guys are both amazing women.
But if
you
you're
know-
young and you have low self-esteem and you've had trauma and you've had all these things that happen, that's just you teach them how to treat you. And then that's what you think you deserve. And so I think every time we've been out of these, like, you're like, oh, okay. And that might come with maturity, but
Yeah.
sometimes people don't. Sometimes people don't mature into that, but sometimes they do. And you just have to keep learning and growing and staying around people like this, like where you're like helping each other and like giving each other good insight. It was awesome that we had each other through the divorce.
Yeah.
It's awesome that we had the podcast the whole time to just like talk through those things, because you really process it differently. I feel
So
like.
what they're going to do is move on to somebody that will tolerate those things from them, because they're not changing as a person. Like, I can tell from co-parenting, they're not changing as a person. You know what I mean? Which is sad, because I want him to make the changes so that my kids get a better version of him. You know what I mean? Because I still have kids with him. For me, like, I have work to do still. Like, I am learning what I will and won't tolerate. And, you know, like, what are my boundaries? Because I had zero boundaries.
What are some great boundaries that you have now that maybe you never had before, or that are important to Megan like now?
Yeah, like for me, I'm pretty simple. Like, I honestly like require time and affection, which Darian was good at time. He spends the time, but it's just he wasn't good. Like, there was no connection or affection. You know what I mean?
It was just like an empty.
Right. And so it was like living like I, you know, would have lived the rest of my life like a roommate. You know what I mean? And like,
Who's here but not here.
Yeah.
right. And every woman wants to feel wanted. You know what I mean? So,
I think it almost makes it harder, like when someone's there but they're not there.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it's
yeah,
just
because
such
you
a
just start to
weird
resent them.
feeling.
You just start to resent them. And I truly, he is the father of my kids. Like, I want the best for him. Like, I'm hoping that the relationship that he's in is the right one for him, because like, she's polar opposite of me. And I told him for years.
That's what he needs.
Yeah, like, you need somebody that makes less money than you. You need somebody that's going to build you up and give you attaboys. You need somebody that is going to fall all over you, because that's not me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke up your ass every day to make you feel better about yourself. It's just not me. That's not my personality. You know what I mean? Like, I go to work and do all that all day long. So like, I want a man's man. Like, and this is just in general, like, I want a man's man. I want someone that
You want
at
a
home-
manly, masculine
that's right,
man.
at home and in the bedroom, they're going to take charge, to where I make decisions all
But
day
you
long.
could also find a man that makes more money than you too.
Yeah, that is true. Come on. Wouldn't that be a plus? Yeah.
I'm not going to tolerate somebody that won't work on a consistent basis, because then I don't respect them. You know what I mean? Like, I have to have respect.
And then you walk all over them,
Yeah,
and you know yourself.
Right.
But to me, it's not even about the money. You
It's
know,
not
it's
about
more
the
about
money.
the
No, it's
the
about-
effort
right.
and
It's
like
the ethic.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tolerate someone that uses me, you know, like for money or for opportunity, or I'm not going to. There are a lot, like.
She's like, let me get my paper out. Let me get my 8-page
No, I just
paper
want the
out.
cliff notes. I don't
Yeah.
know.
No, I mean, like, I don't want someone to ride my coattails. Like, I want somebody that wants to be a team player. Like,
Yeah.
we should come
It's a
together,
partnership.
right? And like whatever your strengths are, like let you lead those strengths. Whatever my strengths are, you know, like. Two people working together can pull a lot more weight than two people working side by side.
Gabriel will be like,
Individually.
Sometimes Gabriel will be like, hey, could you just drive this bus tonight? You know, because he's worked all day and did all these things. Like, and what he means by that is like, pick what's for dinner, pick the movie. Like, can you just do that tonight? And I'm good. Or sometimes I'll be like, I don't want to tonight. And then we just like flip flop. So it's funny
best
because he'll
thing
be like, can you
about,
drive the bus? I'll be like, okay.
Like a good relationship is not having expectations of each other. Like Trent doesn't come home and expect dinner on the table.
Yeah, no.
You know, or he does, yes, I'm a stay at home mom, but sometimes the bed won't be done or the laundry won't be done. But he doesn't expect that from me, because he knows that if I wanted to do it, I'd do it. So same thing with him. I don't expect him to cut the grass. We just hire someone to do it. You know?
I know.
But, you know, just having that clear communication, because like there are times where, hey, you may not be like the person that cooks. It could be the husband.
Right.
Where, you know, like not playing roles.
It
Having
doesn't,
each
like, in
other's
today's-
back.
Yeah, I think so. Like, because I mean, what would you do if one person is sick? You know what I mean? So it's just like, and I want somebody that like, if I choose not to clean my house and I pay somebody to clean my house because that's like typically a woman duty or whatever. And hate to say that, like female and male roles, the same thing kind of like with mowing the yard. But if I choose, you know, to pay somebody, I don't want that thrown in my face either.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you don't clean this house. Okay, but I pay somebody to clean this house. So what
Either
does it matter?
way.
Yeah. What does it matter? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I just want somebody that is like a good partner. Like, that's what I want.
Yeah.
What do you want?
What do you want, sister?
What are your non-negotiables?
Oh, I was like, I don't know. Just like my non-negotiables.
Yeah.
It's time. Like
Yeah.
I do love spending time with my husband, and he knows that. We're both one thing I love about him, and the same with me, is like when we're away from our family, or like if I'm out grocery shopping, like I don't find reasons to be out longer than I need to be. Like I rush home to my husband. I rush home to my kids because that's where I'm happiest. Now, I know there are issues like in marriages where they find reasons to stay out.
Yeah, that's when you know.
And then to me, that's a red flag.
Like in my marriage, I would always sit in my garage for like an extra hour when I got home and just like sit in my car.
See?
Like, because I was just like, I don't want to go in. I don't want to do this. I don't want to feel this way. I don't want to like feel the tension. I don't want to like argue about something. Like, so I found myself doing that like more and more, especially
then
that
you
last
realize
year
you're
or
like,
two. And then
wait.
I'm like, what? Like, I've been at work all day. I've been gone all day. Like, my kids be peeking like, are you coming in? I'd be like, minute. You know?
At the end of the day, our kids are only young for so little.
Yeah.
But when the kids leave and y'all have to, you're empty nesters, it's just you guys again.
Yeah.
You know, like how are you going to make that work if you guys are so used to being away from each other? So,
It's true. Good point.
yeah.
Good
So,
point. You rush home to your husband, boo.
I will rush home to my husband. I will do that. You know, and I suggest you guys do the same thing too.
Hop on that 0G. Zero G.
Ride it till the wheels fall off.
Literally.
Ride it, my pony.
Literally.
Bye. Thank you guys for listening to our episode.
Stay toxic.
Don't,
I'm just kidding.
Don't accept. No toxic waste. Follow us on Got Our Back podcast, inspired by Carrie, Miss Maria Shelton.
Next time, don't do.
All right, guys. Bye.